This is Joe Castello's WFO Radio Ignition. Covering everything that has wheels, an engine, and a driver.
The reason I race is to get the chicks. You know what I mean?
NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, sports cars, and NHRA drag racing.
Hey, guys, just want to let you know, WFO rocks.
WFO Radio is total motorsports.
It's just so cool.
Fasten your seatbelts, fire up the ignition, and drop the hammer.
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, here's your host, Joe Castello.
WFO, what's up, everybody? Happy holidays, happy winter break, happy. Happy to all of you out there. I'm Joe Castello. I'm your WFO radio host. 10 years of this podcast. Can you believe it? 10 years. And been doing this a lot longer. I don't know what I would do without you guys, the audience, to talk to on a weekly basis. To throw it out there and come up with ideas and concepts and kick things around and have a little fun and bust some chops and then get out of here. It's therapy for many people who do this. I remember hearing years ago, Joe Rose would always say, it's therapy, and it really is. You can come into the show all angry and disturbed and bitter, and when you finish the show, you're feeling great and wonderful, and it's a great thing. And so that is very cool, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going as we get closer and closer to the holidays. Now, there is some news breaking in the world of NASCAR. Cole Pearn leaving Joe Gibbs Racing. That is going to be very interesting. We'll read you his reasoning, and it is interesting. I can expect that some people are not going to really get it, and I get why they don't get it, but I get it, what he's doing. There's a lot of getting going on, and we'll get into that. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're wondering to yourself, you're saying, where is Giovanni in Miami? And I will tell you that Giovanni in Miami did not make it today. He didn't make it. He did not make it here. He was on his way here, but he didn't make it. And so we are left to wonder where Giovanni in Miami is and when will he join us and when will that be? And he will be calling in via Skype to explain his unaccounted for absence. Where is he? What's the story? And if that doesn't hold you on here for a few more minutes, I don't even know what will. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about the sponsors for the show. You know, it is the holiday season, and they've all got great products, and I want you to check them out for your gift-getting ideas. Yes, you could go on to Amazon, but it's not going to have the impact as Marvin Rodak's coffeeandgrills.com. Hot sauces and spice rubs and grilling tools and everything good. You call up Marvin, you tell him what you're doing, who it's for, and he's going to help you pick something great. Pound of coffee, bottle of hot sauce, container of spice rub, everything good. Call Marvin. Holiday packs, he'll ship them out. I have done that for all our great close friends. It has been amazing. Rodak's coffeeandgrills.com. 817-924-6821. That is 817-924-6821. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure. Frank Atlanta Hawley putting together a program so people can go out and enjoy speed and go down the racetrack a bunch of times. A great full day of activities. A lot of fun. That is the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. Samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Start your education at full speed. Block, head, CNC programs. Become a machinist, high-performance engine builder, CNC machinist, motorsport, EFI tuner. Any of those things is possible at samtech.edu. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. If you've got a shop, a factory, you work in industry, by all means, if you have a shop or you're looking for a household cleaner, same thing, MagicDryUS.com. But we always say if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. And if you've got a shop, get Magic Dry. And finally, Total Seal Piston Rings, new Total Seal podcast launching. It's up, it's available, it's on SoundCloud, but Apple Podcast, any minute it will be approved, and we really hope that you will check it out and write a review, and it's going to be the stars of engine building. Very excited about doing this. Myself, Keith Jones from Total Seal, the Director of Technical Sales, and Jason Line, Pat Musey, talking about different things than on WFO. We're going to go into the engine building world, and it is going to be very, very interesting. Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal. And I think you are really going to love it. But also, Total Seal is the leader in ring seal technology, in that if you're an engine builder, you don't need a podcast to know that, and you should be buying your rings from Total Seal. Check it out. Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal. Go to TotalSeal.com to find out more information. And Drag Racing Edge, EV3 Drag Racing, all helping us out on WFO. If you're a new listener, a first-time listener, oh, really? I didn't milk that very much at all. I was really expecting to be able to milk the phone call for at least 15 more minutes. And instead, I just mentioned that Giovanni in Miami is going to be calling in, and there he is calling in immediately. I didn't time that out as well as I should have. Hello, Giovanni in Miami. How are you?
I am well.
Well, I would say, are you? Well. Are you well? I don't know if you are. I just told everyone that you had an unplanned absence, and we're going to find out why. But I was going to milk it for at least 20 more minutes. I was going to tell everybody we also have our Fantasy League champion, Chad Robb, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, on the show this evening. We're going to hear from Chad. We're going to talk about his championship, how he owned all y'all, and how you let us all down. But that's okay. That's a different story. We'll talk about it. I let myself down, too. Giovanni let me down. We all let us down. The guy's a Fantasy League world champ. What are you going to do? He is now on the trophy forever, which probably is, he's a celeb. So that makes the trophy even more valuable. We'll get into that. We'll talk about Cole Pearn. We'll talk about various things. I want to bring up a couple of stories from the past couple of weeks that I just didn't quite understand, and now I still don't understand, so I'm bringing it to the show. Meaning, like, what's up with this Peloton commercial? Why does everybody hate it so much? But I digress. Let's get into what matters most. Giovanni in Miami, why is it that you are not here?
The frailty of my vehicle.
What?
Yeah, no, I had a breakdown and to pull over on the side of the road and
you broke down.
I broke down.
Improper maintenance.
Well, I did not.
Improper driving. Driver error. Which of these things was it? Was it driver error?
No, more than likely just old age.
So how does that go? I mean, we all want to live the moments with you.
Use of years of almost a 20-year-old vehicle and over 200,000 miles, and so stuff goes eventually. Sometimes
years and years of driver error.
Well, I guess it survived this long, so.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's sad. Hopefully, it's just a temporary thing, and you'll be able to get it fixed up. Lickety split. But what did it feel like? You're going, you're driving, and then it just lets you off.
I don't even want to get into it.
People want to feel the pain and relive the experience.
Definitely not. There was a little anxiety causing breaking down in the middle of rush hour traffic, leaving, at 5:30 in the afternoon in South Florida. It doesn't matter where you're at. It's pretty congested. So that was enough anxiety filled right there. Just not wanting to be completely stopped in the middle of a traffic roadway.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds horrific. Which traffic roadway were you stuck on?
Well, first of all, out in West Kendall where I work, it's all traffic everywhere.
Were you at a light, or were you in a parking lot? Were you in your parking space?
No, I was at a light. I was out in on a two-lane, direction highway. Not highway, but road down here out in West Kendall. And as I was approaching the light, it started, I could sense it breaking down. I could see it. I felt it breaking down.
A tremor in the force.
I was able to let it roll through the intersection, and I pulled over at a block, in a neighborhood at the block, and pulled there and called the tow truck.
Wow. But you weren't at a four-way massive intersection and your truck wouldn't go and everybody started to honk at you and scream and curse your name, fortunately.
No, it broke down as I was rolling, approaching a big intersection. And so I nursed it through and got to the other side and and rolled with the hazards on at about 15 miles an hour with, people diving out of, from behind me to cut the other guy off in the other lane so they don't get stuck behind a car that's rolling through real slow. And as soon as I was able to dive and pull into a block on the right-hand side, I snuck it in there.
Wow. That's lucky.
So, yeah, no, I was driving in heavy-duty traffic. I was just able to, it was rolling, it was making a hideous noise, but I was able to make it roll. It didn't just come to a dead stop.
And then you called, roadside assistance?
I called the tow truck service, the roadside assistance.
Wow. And put it on a flatbed, or?
We're not going to give anybody. Nah, man, they sent out a regular truck.
The hook.
It was like a big one. It was like a big tow truck. It wasn't like Tow Mater or Cooter's tow truck, you know?
Oh, it wasn't like Cooters?
No,
I love that. I love
like
that. That's
Cooters.
you go. One of those, the top two. Let me tell you, that is a Family Feud question if I ever heard one. Top 10 answers on the board. Here's the question. Name people with tow trucks. Tow Mater. Cooter. Those are definitely two of the top ones. I can't think of the number one answer. Survey says. That was really good, though. You nailed two of them. And so they brought it away on the hook. And they brought it to your house, or did they bring it right to the mechanic shop, or what's the story?
No, the shop was closed already, man. This was already, I was leaving work. It was like 5:30, 5:45 when I left already. I was headed up to your place. I'm lucky I didn't get on the highway. I could have been on the highway. I was at a light waiting to get on the highway pretty much. And instead of making a right to go on the highway, I kept going through and drove into the neighborhood instead of staying on the big street.
No, that's very smart. Just like, animals, they go off alone to pass away. And that's sad. Well, it's very unfortunate.
Or they come right by your side door and then they'll pass away like right by your feet.
Well, they would want to be surrounded by loved ones. But that is interesting. Well, it's very unfortunate, very sad. We missed out on you. The big Poker Action Line show extravaganza was fantastic.
I heard that there was a feast.
There was. Joe Rodriguez
the big
brought
Poker Action Line Christmas party. I missed the Christmas dinner
We did not call it the Christmas party, but now that you mention it, it definitely was. And a good time was had by all of us. It was fantastic. We did miss you. We did eat your slice of pizza, and everything is good. But now we're doing Ignition. You're on the phone line. You're out there. You get to be at home. This is all an elaborate ruse. You'll be back here next week with the truck and be like, it's no big deal. It's all fixed.
Right.
Well, that's unfortunate. Sad for the truck. But, hey, sometimes things break. What are you going to do? You get it patched up, and hopefully you get another 200,000 miles out of that thing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, another 200,000. Yeah,
another.
Maybe by then. Maybe by then, the little guy will be driving it.
Right, exactly. The old farm truck. That's what it's going to end up being. That thing is going to be farm truck, but it survives. And who knows?
Well, yeah, there's no point in me getting rid of it. It's like it's been bought and paid for like forever. So
exactly.
And no one's going to give me anything for it at this point because it's almost 20 years old.
Right.
And so.
Right.
So yeah, I mean maybe if it was 20 years old and had like 45,000 miles on it that I never drove it, but this has been like my everyday car for the last 17 years.
Yeah. What is that? 2002.
02.
And it's about to be 2020. You're days away from the 2020 turnover to the next decade.
Yeah.
That truck is about to be 3 decades old. Well, yeah, I noticed that at Fastlane Friday down at Homestead Miami Speedway on this last Friday night. We were down there, and you know me, I'm into hyperbole. I like to say big things, big numbers. That's why, like when people make fun of the president, I totally get his act because that's exactly what I do. And not just me, but many others. Like you come up with the best, most boisterous way to say something that it's still technically true, right? Well, in this one, I was thinking of things and I was doing, the final Fastlane Friday of 2019. And then it occurred to me, not only that, but it's the final Fastlane Friday of the decade. And it is. It's the final bunch of the decade. It's the final, the decade is about to end. Remember the last decade and the previous decades, when the decade ended, it was a big, big deal. This year, it doesn't feel like a big, big deal all of a sudden for some reason.
Yeah, and I know, but does the decade really technically end this year? Because it's in a decade 10 years, so technically 2019 is only the 9th year of the decade.
Oh, so I just ruined the whole thing is ruined because 2020 is the last year of the decade and 2021?
And
yeah.
so if you consider a decade to be 10 years...
No, but I mean, technically, no, that's... Well, wait a second, though. So what about 2000? Didn't we go through this once before? I feel like we've been through this once before. Or maybe a few times before. 2000 was that... No, technically 2000 wasn't. 2001 was the end of the century.
I'm not going to get into when is the millennium or when it was not.
But it's the same principle.
Reality is that a decade is 10 years. And so from 2011 to 2019 is only 9 years.
Yes, and technically 2020 is the 10th year of the decade, and thus the final year of the decade. And, it was an elaborate test for everybody out there at Fastlane Friday to see who would add it up correctly, and they all failed.
Yeah, well, this is South Florida. Come on.
Right. So technically it is not the end of the decade. It is... the final year of the decade.
It all depends on how you look at it.
No, but there's no year zero. Or is there?
Right. Well, no, there's technically, unless you consider, 2000 the first year of the new
2020. Well, exactly.
So it all depends. It's all relative, right?
Is 2020 the last year of this previous decade? Well, that means the New York Yankees have still got a chance to be in the World Series this year.
Right, theoretically.
Right?
Yeah.
Like then all of a sudden, the New York Yankees didn't go to the World Series this decade thing is actually false. We are still alive.
Yes, technically. I mean, we could get away with that, but it has been 10 years since they went 10 full years without getting one.
Yeah, but that's like the Tiger Slam. That's across decades. The stat was that you were in the World Series every single decade going back to 1900s.
Yeah, well, let's see. We still haven't gotten to the 2020 series, so.
Right, but we're still alive, according to this new math that we've just created. And you are all welcome to weigh in on this scale. It is. I was saying something, and it turns out I'm wrong, or maybe I'm not wrong. Who knows? It all depends on how you count it up. But we've had this debate in the past. For some reason, I feel like this debate comes up every 10 years.
Yeah, every 9 to 10 years.
Every 9 or 10 years, right around the round numbers. Is it 2020, the end of the decade, or is it the start of the decade? What is it? That's an excellent point. Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, or is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What do you do with that 0? Was there a year 0? In the show Man in the High Castle that I tell you about that nobody watches except for me, and I love it, the Nazis, they won World War II. And that's the whole bit of the deal. Well, Himmler is the leader, right? Hitler dies, and Himmler takes over. And so his big move, like his big initiative, every leader's got to have a big initiative, is year 0. And so what they're doing is they're going around, and yes, spoiler alert, sorry, you should have seen this before. It's like 3 years old in season 3. If you are not up to speed on Man in the High Castle on Amazon, tough luck. It's an amazing show. Here's how it ends. No, there's 3 episodes left. He goes around and they've taken over America, and so their plan is to erase all history, right? They're going to erase all American history. So they blow up the Statue of Liberty, and the show's creators are torturing the viewers who you would suspect love America, right? And so they're exploding all kinds of historic creations and things that we have a visceral connection to with our patriotism, and they blow them up and they replace them with Nazi stuff. But the initiative is year 0. Year 0, where time began. And nothing that happened before year 0, which included World War II and all the different stuff, none of that, the pyramids, the Romans, none of it matters. Earth starts with year 0 in the Third Reich. And it's scary stuff, man. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about year 0. There had to have been one.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Can we talk NASCAR? Are you done? Are you safe? Are you happy? Are you okay? You're not happy, but at least you're home.
I'm fine. I was never in danger per se, But like I said, it's always that sudden, all of a sudden, oh, crap, what the hell's going on? What is that sound? That sounds like, Schmidt's braking.
Yeah, car problems. Car problems. Nobody likes car problems, being stuck. I've been stuck on the side of the road a few times. It's not good, but it's part of life. It happens less than it used to, but it is still.
I gotta tell you, it all happened. It all, it all got picked up, and I got home relatively quickly compared to how long it can take, and it's taken, And I would imagine, at that time, I think the guy got to me pretty quickly.
Well, that's good. That has roadside assistance has improved a lot, too, since the advent of the internet and the cell phone and GPS.
Well, yeah, no, the guy called me on the cell phone, like, right, the actual truck driver called me right back, and I sent him my exact location. I dropped him a pin. Bloop.
So what, you didn't get under the hood and start working with your tools to try to fix it?
Nah, man. No, man, I was coming from the office dressed all nice.
Oh, I get it. Well, hey, glad you're okay. Let's go on with the show, shall we? And this...
Hey, the show must go on. That's, sometimes you get burned, sometimes you don't. It's all in the name of rock and roll.
That's right. Exactly. Ride the lightning. Here we are doing Ignition. I am getting ready for the PRI trade show. We've got an excellent NHRA Nitro program for you. We got Megan Meyer. We got Andrew Hines coming this week. Next week, we're working on some big shows. It is going to be great. But I'm going to be up there in Indianapolis on Wednesday. And then there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll be driving to Johnson City, Tennessee. And then I am starting Performance TV in studio next week. And so it's a busy week, final work trip of the year. And I'm excited about it. There will be one more trip between Christmas and New Year's. But I'm excited to, wind this thing up and wrap it up and get ready. Also want to tell everybody that we do have a new podcast getting ready to drop. And I would love for you guys to check it out. And hopefully, if you like it, write a review. It's called Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal. And it is by Total Seal Piston Rings. And it is myself as host-presenter, along with Keith Jones, who is the Director of Technical Sales for Total Seal, as the expert co-host. And each episode, we have got a high-profile engine builder who's going to give his thoughts and opinions about ring seal, what's important, what it takes, common issues, common problems, challenges, etc., and so on. There are 2 episodes available now. It is not yet on Apple Podcast, but it will be soon. It is on Spotify, it is on Google Play, it is on Stitcher, and it is on SoundCloud, which is our preferred audio hosting site. And you can get them anywhere. The first 2 episodes with Jason Line, the 3-time Pro Stock World Champion, also Stock Eliminator World Champ, and Pat Musey, who builds those 900 cubic inch nitrous-fed monsters, father of Lizzie Musey, star of No Prep Kings, which we talk a little bit about that as well. And so you're going to want to check that out, Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal, one of our great sponsors on WFO. And not only that, you will be entertained, of course, but you will be doing us a solid here on WFO, which is really what it's all about, doing us a solid.
Do it. Go listen.
Yeah, well, not right now, though.
Well, obviously not right.
Don't leave us. Don't leave us right now to go do that. You can do that later. That's the whole idea about podcasting. What we are doing is we're getting you ready for the big week and the big weekend and the holidays and all of that stuff. But there is some NASCAR news, breaking news, things happening out there that are of interest. First of all, I think the thing that captivated the NASCAR fandom the most was Kyle Larson's wife shotgunning a beer at the awards ceremony. It was definitely the most viral moment of the awards ceremony. Everybody's talking about it. Gotta say, it was pretty hot. I mean, I don't know what it was about that. I don't know if you saw it, but the videos and the memes and the GIFs and the GIFs, they're all out there for you to enjoy. It was, in some way, very attractive. Wonder what that is all about.
I don't know, some kind of primordial instinct. But I did see it. I get my news from Twitter, like the vast majority of the world does.
Yes,
and
which is a horrible thing.
I saw it happen there.
Yeah, wasn't she cute? She did it. She's
no,
ready to go.
It's just like 3 sentences at a time. It's perfect for someone like me that has very little time and interest to dedicate to long form read.
Well, you know what? Listen,
This is great because look, you just read headlines, and then if something really interests you, then you go further.
But you know what, though? There's got to be a middle ground, and I have found that I, on the other hand, like we all have the all-direction drive, okay? And, long reads are tough for all of us. But getting your news from Facebook or Twitter is really bad and damaging because it's not real news, and there's all kinds of fake stuff in there, and it's all lacking any context. Yes. No, it is. It is. It's all
news from
BS.
the fans is fake, and they all have sources. But news from the actual writers is legit and is straight. That stuff is you follow all the writers from the team. You follow the specific guys that are.
Well, if we're only talking about sports, that's one thing. Because but if we're only talking about sports, but that's not real genuine news. That's an easy piece of information.
But the same thing works in the other stuff. I'm sure if you follow actual writers and people that are newsmen, you're okay. It's when you follow like Ted's, beneath the mom's basement blog,
right?
Guy that's when you
not even because there's context. The thing about context is important, but I actually care about the context of news, and I will try to read stories very often. I will read, but to your point, I find that whoever writes these stories, as much as context is as important as anything, it can't be a 15-minute read, man. It just can't. There's no way. It just can't. There's no way that there's anybody that can spend 15 minutes digesting all of these different deals. If you have to scroll 9 times to get to the end, it's just too much. And so there's got to be a happy medium between Twitter and the long form. 9 scrolls is too much. 3 scrolls max. That's the answer.
Yeah, every now and then you'll get a guy that does 1 out of 10. Like he's going to tweet 10 in a row. I'm like, all right, that's too much for me. I'm not even going to start getting involved because 10 tweets, seems like 10 pages of news, So I'll just read the headlines.
How do you even know it's going to take you 10 tweets to get to the end, though? Do they work backwards?
That's a very good question. Now that you say that, or maybe they just wrote this out and they're gonna on a word sheet, and it's easier to divide and break it up. Or
they counted the letters and divided by the number of letters Twitter accepts.
No, but
now math is involved.
I do work in an office setting, and I know that when you type something into a Word document, it says exactly how many words are on it. It keeps count for you.
Yes, no, I know. And those of us who don't work in an office but also have computers, we have that ability as well.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, I was never writing documents at home, though. I've had Office, on my home computer probably for as long as it's been out, but I was never really writing documents at home.
And for all you kids out there, since this is
that maybe the person they typed it out and they typed out their paragraph and they saw there's 1,000 words and they figured, all right, I'll break it up into 10 tweets.
That just sounds crazy.
Now that you pose it, it's a good question. I hadn't considered that. How did this person know it was going to take them X amount of tweets to type all this crap out?
And there you go. The first reason to click subscribe on the WFO Winter Break programming. We pose interesting and unique questions. Ding. There's reason 1. I will also say all you kids out there are people that did not, that grew up with the modern version of Word or OpenOffice or whatever word processing program you elect to use. If you never had to write a 1,000-word essay without word counting programs, you have not experienced true annoyance of having to actually count words on pages. That was horrible.
They don't even want to hear the crap that we had to type into a damn machine and put the paper through, and if you made a mistake, it was like a pain in the ass.
Correcto type. You had to throw out the whole paper.
Yes.
My mom with the Correcto type.
So please,
liquid paper. Are they out of business? Is liquid paper out of business?
From that crap. No, it's still in use every now and again. I've had use for it in my work life.
But my teachers would assign us 500-word essay, 1,000-word essay, etc. And I remember distinctly keeping, counting, right? Like 177, 178, 179. And there did not seem to be a better way. I'm hoping nobody calls in with a great hack and be like, oh, yeah, all you needed to do is flip over the paper and do it. I don't recall any quick way around that.
If it's, that there's generally X amount of words on a page, written.
Right.
So
you count the words on one page, and then you just do time 10s. And
500 words, it was going to be at least 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
So, there's no sense in counting until you had at least 2 pages.
Right. Well, of course not. Right. And then you just multiply that and go over. And it's always like, 600 words. Now when I write my National Dragster stories, I do word count, and, I got to hit the 800 target number, and I'm golden. Or I go short and I get like a bigger
well,
book.
Now they are, and by the same token, you don't want to go to 1,200 words because then you're going to be too wordy.
Oh, absolutely. Then they'll edit out my best stuff, which might happen on this one. So this is what the offseason is all about on WFO, where we cover, everything in a free-flowing stream of consciousness on the program. But there is actually big news that broke today at 3:53. I'm reading the story by Scott Page, and I am taking it off the J-Ski site, which we're still happy to have back, a big return. That's one of the big stories of 2020 or 2019 is that the return of J-Ski. But Joe Gibbs Racing announced today that crew chief Cole Pearn has decided to leave the organization to pursue opportunities outside of the sport. Pearn, who joined Joe Gibbs Racing following the 2018 season, led Martin Truex Jr. in the number 19 to a runner-up finish in the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series standings, following a series best 7 wins, 15 top 5s, 24 top 10s. During the 2019 playoffs alone, Pearn led the 19 team to 3 wins, a pair of runner-up finishes, and only finished outside of the top 7 once in 10 races. That is really strong, and most people agree should have won the championship if not for a nightmarish agony of defeat style blunder that happened on pit road, where they put the tires on the wrong side of the car. Right. Well, exactly. This was an incredibly difficult decision, Pearn said. At the end of the day, I really want to spend time with my family and actually see my kids grow up. Being on the road, you are away from home so much, and I miss a lot of time with your family. I don't want to miss that time anymore. I want to be there for all the things that my kids are going to experience while they are still young. I love racing, and there isn't a better place to be than Joe Gibbs Racing, but I don't want to look back in 20 years and think about everything I missed with my wife and kids while I was gone. They are what is most important to me, says Cole Pearn. Wow, that is a very bold statement, and he is making a change and leaving the sport.
That's so great of Cole Pearn, a family man. That's great to hear. As soon as we get off the phone, I'm going to call my people and find out what the real story is.
Well, right. Like, okay, so...
Right?
Yeah, but you said that about Carl Edwards. You said that about Carl Edwards, and he hasn't been back yet.
Yeah, he got paid a lot of money to go away.
I can imagine that there are a lot of people that are probably very unhappy about this decision. It's not like he is Andrew Luck, and well, he is Andrew Luck leaving the team in the lurch. Really, is exactly what he is doing, because Martin Truex Jr. is going to go from championship winning / contending driver every year to question mark. I'm not saying his driving ability is going to go away, but we know that it's the combination of crew chief and driver that ultimately wins. And if one or the other goes away, the whole thing becomes a question mark. And that's what they are now, a big question mark. And it'll be interesting to see. And so Pearn is choosing his family over his job. And his job is a team of guys and all that. I can imagine that there are a lot of people that think that this is an example of the softening of American and the American man, wanting to be, those people. And I'm not saying I'm one of them, because I'm not. But once upon a time, here's a perfect example. Well, it doesn't matter what I am. The people, we have this conversation earlier this year, or perhaps last year. Somebody wanted to be there for the birth of their child, and so they missed work. Wasn't that maybe in baseball? Wasn't it a pitcher who missed a start?
It happened in baseball. And yes, it did happen in baseball.
Who was that? Do you recall?
I don't know. It happened, and multiple guys took time off.
Okay, so guys have been guys have been taking.
Yes, it's called paternity leave or something.
Guys have been taking time off, and the old
and apparently
guard,
they have that at my job too. If I would have known that,
Yeah, you go back in time because you didn't work there when it was time for paternity leave. You don't get that.
Well, that's the whole point. That sucked. I could have had like months off.
Yeah, well, you should have started sooner.
Anyway.
But the old guard thinks things like this makes you soft. And in the old world, that, some people, were people tougher back then? Yeah, probably they were, right? And when you left your family, that's it.
In the old world,
sorry, fam, I got to go do my job. I got to leave. Got to go do the job. That's it. I'm just going to miss your stuff.
I know, but he's already done the job, and he's already provided for his family. If he didn't have enough money, he wouldn't be quitting. So what's the point? Isn't the point that you leave to go be able to provide, or that you're out there working and doing what it is that you do to provide? Well, if you've already made so much money that you could provide for the rest of your life, well, what's the point?
I don't think that's what's happened. I don't think Cole Pearn has provided enough money for the rest of his life. Like, he's a crew chief he's had, let's call it, like he over there when it was Furniture Row. I don't think he was breaking the bank by any means. What mill? It depends on who you are. But you keep on working, man.
And it depends on,
The kids are definitely going to be very annoyed at him.
I don't know what his finances
Maybe he's got a TV job lined up. There's the thing.
Maybe he invested his money, in Amazon or something. Who knows?
Yes, maybe he is a stock guy right behind the scenes, and he's got Apple over the past 6 months. He bought Apple when it was at 170, and now it's at 260. Why didn't I do that?
Forget that. What if he bought Apple like in '98 before they came out with the iPod? What if he put a dime in that? That's got to be like $10 million.
I don't think he's old enough for that, dude. He's not old enough for that.
That was like not even 20 years ago.
Yeah. How old do you think Cole Pearn is? He's not 20, but he's not 50 either. He's, he was probably 10 years old when that thing was happening you're talking about. It's like 30-year-old man.
Dude,
Anyway,
I was
he's
in my
leaving.
20s when that was available, and I just didn't know that, I could have dropped a lot more than a dime in Apple if I would have known.
What was wrong with us? You know why? The reason was you had to go to a stockbroker then. Like, there was no E-Trade or Ameritrade.
We didn't have a brokerage account. No, actually, those came out like in the late 90s, so we might have been able to, in that early run.
What you do is you just go on to Google and you Google online trading. Why didn't we just do that? Why didn't we smart enough? Yeah. My latest giant stock blunder that is just annoying if you watch CNBC at all and the ticker comes by. It's Roku. It's Roku, because I got my dad a Roku so he could watch NHRA.TV. First of all, our great friend Mark from Poker Action Line was talking about Roku. How long ago, dude? How long ago? 4 years? 5 years? Many Roku. It came onto the
years ago.
Came onto the radar like 5 years ago. Roku, and it's like, don't tell me new stuff. I don't want to know new stuff. And that's not you. That's normally your voice, but I'm talking about me. Anyway, I finally, standing in Office Depot, I see Roku and the thing's like $30, and I say, you know what, NHRA.TV, formerly NHRA All Access, is available on this. I'm going to get it. And so I set it up, and I'm like, wow, this thing is really good. And I saw the stock was at $22. And I was like, $22? I don't know. The Sirius XM stock is only $6, and Roku, $22, and I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get it. It's too expensive. But boy, is this really good. This is a really good product, but I'm not going to buy the stock because I'm stupid. And now it's at $163, man. It was up at 163, and Roku stock collapses to $120, and I'm sitting here taking pot shots in the dark.
Yeah, man, you should have bought 100 shares.
Oh yeah, which was actually a manageable thing. Talking about great, but this is
well. That's why I said 100 and not 1,000.
Right.
You don't just I know you don't just have $10,000.
No, I don't. I know, but I could have. It could have bought 50 shares.
But right? Like a guy like us can come up with $1,000 or $2,000 to throw at something.
This is it's stock market bad beat stories.
Yeah, dude, you could be on with Scott Van Pelt at night, and you should tell him that.
So that would have been turning $1,000 into would have been making $5,000, right? Just pulling the trigger on that deal that you just created, the phony one.
Well, if you had bought 100 shares, you would have made $10,000.
Right.
But yeah.
But I don't see myself dropping, $2,000 on something like that. A G, right. I could have dug that up. $2,000 now.
But yes, if you had bought 50 shares, it would be $5,000. Yes, at $100 each profit. Yes,
but
5,000.
No, I don't want to do that. It's too expensive. $22. Roku, what is it? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Idiot. So, okay, your point is that Cole
man.
Pearn, maybe he bought Roku when it was at $22.
No, but look, my point is that, in the end, we just don't know. Could this be just a story? Or could the guy have said, you know what, I've had enough, and he's going to sit around at home.
Or he knows what he's going to do, though. He's not sitting
another job lined up already,
Yeah, I think his wife will kill him. And his kids are definitely going to hate him when they turn 18. And it's like, what? You were making $1 million a year, and you could have made $1 million a year for 10 more years? Why did you leave us? What?
Well,
you did what? Oh, there you go. All right, so that's the big news of the day. I wish Cole Pearn the best. I think it takes courage. It had to be a very, very challenging decision, most importantly. To leave Martin, right? Like, because the relationship
and
is
I'll
sort
let
of
you know
driving
as soon as we find out what really happened.
What really happened. Here's what Martin says. I cannot say enough good things about Cole and what he has meant for my career. I appreciate his hard work and his dedication to our race team over the past 6 years. Going back to when he was my engineer at Furniture Row, our friendship is what matters most to me, and I'm happy that he's doing what's best for him and his family. All
right, here, you want me to translate
through clenched teeth, yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Look what happened to Jimmy Johnson. He didn't even make the damn playoffs. Oh,
playoffs.
And then he insert curse word.
Exactly. Exactly.
that I just put it through the translator for you.
Right. Well, listen, it is.
Are you effing kidding me?
I feel badly for him. Because
what are you going to do?
It's a question mark. NASCAR.
No, like you said, I mean, look, history always shows that when there is a change of crew chief, it does. Sometimes it still works out, and guys fight through and still win a championship, but it's never quite the same.
News from a couple of days ago, finally, just to show that there is still, and perhaps always has been, a NASCAR mole in the WFO audience. They have once again taken advice that was first put out on Castello-hosted programs, whether it be back on satellite radio or here on WFO radio. NASCAR has finally eliminated the sponsor Cup Series, and instead it will become known as the NASCAR Cup Series, as I have personally advocated for at least 18 years. In fact,
I was going to say that we've been talking about this for 20 years. I think.
When Sprint,
definitely 18.
When Nextel took over from Winston, that's when I began to make.
That was I believe, at the end of 2003. Then
that's when it first really came up that it was bad business to brand your series after a sponsor, because the sponsor may fall into bad reputation, it may go out of business, they may dump you, and now you have to renew it, and it is confusing to your fan base. And, it's not the Coca-Cola NFL, and then all of a sudden it's the, Jiffy Pop NFL. No. It's the NFL.
No, it's a new Coke.
Right. Presented by. And so NASCAR has adopted this. Did I have to make my part in it the lead? Yes. This is something that I have been talking about on a very consistent basis, going back to the Nextel sponsorship. And then when they went from Nextel to Sprint, from Sprint to Monster Energy, and it's just a constant rotation. It is very confusing. It's confusing to people, confusing to fans, and NASCAR has finally gotten it right. And here's what they're going to do. NASCAR's premier series will be known as the NASCAR Cup Series. Imagine that. And will feature 4...
I mean, wow, that sounds complicated, huh?
4...
How many geniuses did it take to figure that one out?
Exactly. 4 cornerstone premier partners, okay? You're a cornerstone premier partner. Here they are. Busch, Coca-Cola, Geico, and Xfinity. And so, is Busch Beer, Coca-Cola, Geico, and Xfinity going to end up paying more money than Monster Energy did these past couple of years? I don't know. I think so. Are they all together going to pay more money than Sprint did at the pinnacle of the peak of the deal? I don't know. But
no.
I think you don't know that for sure. If you add them all together,
no, I don't know it for sure. But I'm gonna say, but I do recall that pinnacle of the Sprint deal was like
$713 million for 10 years,
like in the $75 million a year deal.
Yeah.
So I guess it's possible that they could have, found a way to get 10 or 15, 20 from each of these guys. But
they're very big companies.
We'll see.
What I do find interesting, and I think this is a great model. I think this is very smart, and I think it is a great model, and I cannot wait. I'm actually very excited to see. I mean, I don't want to skip Christmas and fast forward through my birthday to get to the Daytona 500 to see how it all works out, but when it gets here, I'll be eager, is to see how they present this. Right? Like the artwork, the logos, the presentation, the spots. Like, how are they going to do it? But you've got an adult beverage, you've got a family beverage, you've got auto insurance, and you've got technology provider. I like it. I think it is great. So you've got, consumer products.
Technology, yeah, I guess internet TV type provider.
And cell phones. Xfinity does cell phones. They do home things. Yeah. They got their home pod type thing that they do now, that whatever.
Yeah, communication.
Technology. That's what it is. It's technology. Internet service provider.
There you go.
And phones. They do mobile, though.
They do. Well,
and Comcast,
like
Comcast.
AT&T.
It's Comcast, man. They're entertainment as well. Doesn't Comcast own NBC?
Possibly NBC Universal. Is that owned by Comcast?
Yeah, I think it is.
There you go.
Stand by. I don't expect.
They are an entertainment conglomerate then.
Right.
Yeah, no, they got
is a whole NBC Universal. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of Comcast Corporation. Upon the merger of NBC and Vivendi Universal Entertainment, Comcast acquired a 51% majority stake in NBC Universal, et cetera, and so on, from General Electric back in the day. So exactly. Comcast is huge. That is a big company. They could come up with $20 million like nothing to be involved in NASCAR and take great benefit. All of those things.
4 companies you said, 15 or 20 million is nothing. I was reading into a couple of things of how it's going to work. Like, I guess one of them gets to sponsor like the regular season trophy award, and another one gets like some names of the first playoff race or the last last regular season race. All the sponsorships like that. I saw some of the benefits included in being one of those 4 cornerstone or whatever they called it.
And they don't get all exactly the same things. That Coca-Cola becomes the presenting sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series regular season championship trophy. There you go. There's a regular season championship trophy, the Conn Smythe Trophy. Another WFO idea. Who are you out there stealing my ideas? Why won't you just hire me in there? Come on. How many of these are you going to just take from our show and apply and not bring us in as highly paid consultants with a corner office to sit there and oversee people and fire those that we do not bond with or mesh with properly? The regular season trophy.
We don't need all that. We just need the high pay and send the checks forward down here. We'll keep doing the show from the studio.
Yes.
We don't need to be in your office. I don't want to go show up at your place every day.
No PowerPoints.
Not at all. Just send some money.
Seriously, the regular season championship trophy?
I told you. Didn't I tell you that when you read this, it was going to be fairly upsetting.
Yeah, I don't even want to read anymore.
Yeah, no, I started reading about
Geico will be the official insurance provider.
And I said, I'll read it. we'll read it on the show so that Joe can laugh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of things on here that are WFO specials. Ideas that are well over 10 years old. Like, this is not new stuff. That's the thing. You should not talk about your ideas in public, let alone on your podcast, because people are not going to say, hey, idea guy, I'm going to cut you in on the idea. They're just going to use it and claim it for themselves. Oh, well. Que sera, sera. Water over the bridge. What are you going to do? Chase Elliott was named the most popular driver. We knew that one was coming.
Yeah, it goes from Dale Jr. to Chase Elliott, for the next generation until the next kid.
Someone else learns how to use the internet.
Until Leo shows up.
Right. There's some photos circulating about the next gen Cup Series car. They're actually planning on testing it at ISM Raceway on Tuesday. So we're going to have to ask Lowe to get out there and see it. The test of the car, which is scheduled to debut in 2021, follows a session that took place at Richmond. It looks, I like it. Then again, I like the cars that are out there now. I think they look great, but this one looks even better. They've tightened it up even more. It looks like a car, which is cool and exciting. So there you go. There's all your NASCAR news. One thing we did not do a total breakdown, I don't think, Gio. We definitely did not hear from our WFO Radio Fantasy League champ, Chad Robb, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR. I was able to connect with him earlier today. Are you ready to hear it?
Yeah.
Here we go. It is now time for our Fantasy League champion. And joining us now, he is the 2019 WFO Radio Fantasy League World Champion. He is a Hall of Famer and has now imposed his will upon all of you, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, Chad Robb. Chad, congratulations.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show.
I appreciated you getting involved with our league a couple of years ago when we made the switch away from Yahoo and kind of shepherding things along. And I had no doubt that your credentials spoke for themselves. I was interested to see how long you would be held down by the WFO universe. In your second season, you were able to take home the title by 21 points over Patrick the Webmaster, and Bullswool was third. Great year. Congratulations. Does this one hold anything special in your long fantasy career?
Anytime you win a championship is something special. I mean, you don't play if you don't play to win. So the competition was actually pretty tough in this league. Last year I played, I didn't win. But this year it was all about allocation management. I sat, around 10th place all year, and those extra drivers at the end of the season really paid off.
Patrick the Webmaster, who is involved with the show, I was talking to him the other day, and he said with like 6 races to go, he knew you were going to win because he was studying your allocation, and you just had a better roadmap pretty much led out than he did, and he had made some moves, and ultimately a bad decision here or there sunk him. But when I look at the core numbers, 4 wins, 4 top 5s, 10 top 12s on the season, and you scan down, that's beating everybody. You earned the championship with consistent, strong performances.
Yeah, it all comes down to playing the right drivers at the right tracks. And before the season starts, I always map out all the drivers at their best track so I know which allocations to use at which time. And, you make modifications as the season goes along. But that's the key to winning in the driver group game.
Now, how did you think the season went generally? Of course, Kyle Busch winning the championship. Martin Truex experiencing that horrific nightmare moment at Homestead Miami Speedway with the tires being, allocated incorrectly, wrong side of the car. But generally, when you look back at NASCAR 2019, how would you rate this season?
It was really tough from a fantasy perspective. You really had to keep up to date with the momentum because, at the beginning of this year season, it was all about Penske and Joe Gibbs and Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, they were winning everything. And then we had that short little portion of the segment when Alex Bowman just blew up. And then, coming down the stretch, Stuart Haas found some speed, and Kevin Harvick started doing well. You just had to really keep track of momentum, which guys were running well at which times, and that was the key to success.
Absolutely. I feel like there were some, interesting breakouts this year. I think we saw Chase Elliott start becoming the star that we know he's going to be, right? And a face of the sport who can and is winning races. You mentioned those Hendrick guys that are, the future has been bet upon them, and all of a sudden they're starting to perform. Very interesting stuff. What about the other side of that equation, though? Drivers who maybe didn't live up to the hype, drivers that let you down over the course of the year.
Drivers like Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch, I really expected a lot out of Kurt Busch in the playoffs, and he really didn't do anything. And Brad Keselowski, he really faded at the end of the season. Those were some of the drivers. They're experienced drivers. You would expect them to really hit the gas pedal in the playoffs and perform well, but they really struggled at the end of the season, and the young guys really came along. Ryan Blaney, William Byram, they were two guys that if you relied on them in the playoffs, you probably scored pretty well.
Yes. Now, what did you think of the system we're using, the the driver group game fantasy league system? You were, when you gave this the green light, I said, you know what, let's just go with it because Yahoo's gone. And what are we going to do? And this is kind of interesting. This year we adopted the stage point rules, so it was kind of a new system for all of us. How do you think that all went?
I think it went well. I'm good friends with the owner of the website, Darren, and we've been working to make it better. I know next year is going to be even better site. We're going to incorporate a lot more stats into the site, so you can just click on the driver. You can see how he does at each kind of track, short tracks, road courses, super speedways, what have you. And it's going to give you all the information that you need to perform well in the game. So we're trying our hardest to make it as best as it could be.
On that note, just one thing, since it occurs to me, and I'm telling you, one thing that I found, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but, our priority is our own private league, right? But there is also the full overall league, and I am under the understanding that you have to set your teams independently. Like I ran out of allocation in the big league because I wasn't setting a team because I didn't realize I needed to. I kind of thought that my team would default. Like if I select a team for my private league, it will count in the other league. I wonder if that's a problem other people had as well.
Yeah, I heard about that a lot, and it's something that I brought to Darren's attention, and hopefully he can get it incorporated where you just set your lineup for your league, and it automatically defaults into the big league, so you can see how you're comparing against everybody that plays on the site, just not the people in the league.
Absolutely. And that was one of the fun things about Yahoo. We had a guy a couple of years ago who was number one for like the first 10 weeks or something, like a significant number. And that was a big point of interest. Like, wow, how is it possible this guy is the best of all these players? But he did. He had a good run of being number one in the full Yahoo league. And that will be interesting to see. So now your name, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, will go permanently on our WFO Radio Fantasy League trophy that was created out of Penske Racing IndyCar parts, Hendrick Motorsports stock car parts, and Don Schumacher Racing drag racing parts by Tom Patsis. World-renowned motorsport metal artist created this trophy, and your name will go on a plate that is on that trophy for millennium. How does that feel?
That is awesome. It goes right up there with my Hall of Fame jacket that I like to wear to my fantasy drafts and stuff like that. Anytime you get a trophy, it's pretty special.
Now, I'm going to use you. I don't know how much you keep up with the show or the podcast, but we have been using you as a point of motivation for the rest of the audience. Like, you're the Hall of Famer, and so you're kind of, the ringer or the foil for a lot of people out there. You have now won a championship, and so I would hope that everybody out there in the league would be really on the edge to go out there and try to knock you off the top.
That'd be cool. I mean, I'll give it my best, and let's see what they got.
Well, congratulations, Chad. Really appreciate it. The fact that, you're involved in the league, you're playing in the league, you went out there, you got the job done in what was a very competitive and tough season. Dirty Hippie's our 4-time champ, winning the final race. I guess he paid attention that week. But great stuff, and I just want to wish you congratulations, and obviously happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you and your family. But thank you for participating in our league, and congratulations on winning the championship for the 2019 season. Look forward to seeing you on the other side, but thank you for being a part of the league.
Hey, thanks. Can't wait for next year.
There he goes, Chad Robb, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR, joining us on WFO Radio. His name will be on the trophy forevermore. When the aliens come down from space and are searching through the rubble and unearthing all of the political memes that have been created by people who are invested in arguing with one another, they will find this trophy and say, this is a symbol of a higher intellect. What were these people doing? Some sort of competition involving internal combustion engines, no doubt. And there it is. Mr. Fantasy NASCAR's name will be on that trophy, along with Los Chincones and my own and Rich York and everybody except for Giovanni. How wonderful.
Yeah. I was actually going to say, they're going to say that's some cold, hard art. I was going to throw that in there, but
yeah, Tom Patz.
Since you had to pick on me,
No, but I'm going to give you a little credit here. I don't have to do this. I could have easily glanced over it, but, as I referenced in the interview, but I will tell you now. You passed me in the final race to finish one position higher than I did.
Look at that. I knew it. I actually had seen the standings. I don't know. I guess we didn't discuss it.
Nope.
Did we do a show last week?
We did. It was a very popular show, in fact. One thing that has become well, I don't know if we talked about this, or maybe we did. Who knows? But I was down 2 positions on the final race. You were up 1 position, and you passed me, 34th to my 35th. And, you ended up with 17 points on me.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
man. That's right. That's what happened.
That's what happens. Los Chincone finished ahead of both of us. Spider Monkey ahead of both of us. It was a great year. It was fun, but next year will be better. Steve the Trucker was in the top 10, Elephant Racers top 10. I think we did all this, but I agree with you. It's hard to remember. I know we focused heavily on the failure of Patrick the Webmaster to defeat Mr. Fantasy NASCAR. I did have a conversation with Pat, and he's depressed about it. He's a little morbid. He said that he knew with 6 races to go that he was going to have an allocation problem, but he did make the wrong move at the final race. Since we get this, ready? We had Ryan Preece on the show. He took that as a sign and went with Ryan Preece as opposed to Daniel Hemrick, and that would have been the difference in the championship.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How depressing.
It would have been Patrick the Webmaster on the trophy forever and ever, forevermore. The aliens.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that would have been better than losing to, like, the Hall of Famer, but at least I feel like this Hall of Famer comes in here and he's like a ringer. He's just like, smacked us around.
As you just heard, he said it was one of the most competitive leagues he's ever been in, and he said that in his first year that the competition level overwhelmed him. But in the second year, he doubled down and he mapped out every race prior to the start of the season, and that he had a whole plan from the word jump. And, he made certain adjustments along the way, but it's now a known thing. The way you win is you create a spreadsheet and you pick your drivers and you pick them from prior to the start of the season, and then you go with who's hot. And that's what he did.
Yeah, no, that's the Rich York philosophy.
Yeah.
We know how, with the charts and graphs, lining them all up for months in advance, and he has just gone further. And I get it, but I think also that's why he switched up the website and all that for that next from fantasy racing cheat sheet to the driver group game or whatever it is. I think he did that to throw us all off our game too. Him having a distinct advantage over us because he kind of came into the group and like you said, like he said, a little surprised by the level of competition and how he got smacked around in that first year. And so he changed it up, and I think he threw us all off.
Yes.
I mean, I know that's just loser talk, but just, pointing it out.
Exactly. Well, it is loser talk, and that's us.
It is.
We lost. So I guess the Joe strategy of just set the team and leave it for 6 weeks at a time and see how it's doing every once in a while is not the way to win the championship.
Well, it's definitely not the way to win. I mean, you could get by doing stuff like that, and especially, for someone like you that sometimes has to travel and can't possibly get, internet connection at the appropriate times. But yeah, I mean, obviously the like everything, if you're gonna do it and you want to win, I'm sure it's like those daily fantasy. Regular sluts just picking their team there, out of, I guess for lack of a better term, saying like by drawing straws, they have no chance against these pros that, have all the analytics and are, going into like deep websites, pulling out all the stats. They sign up for that Pro Football Focus site and pay like the $100 a month package and get all the fantasy stats. And they're essentially having, picking it almost like it's a computer program, essentially telling them what players to pick on day. Well, it's not, it's not like when we were getting back together in a fantasy league and having like a draft and stuff like that.
Right. Well, in the end, it is what it is. You set your team, you play how you want to play, you put in as much as you want to put in. That guy's a Hall of Famer. It's a true meritocracy with a lot of luck sprinkled in on the top of it.
No, he gets his name on the trophy, Congratulations to you, Chad.
And now there is a bona fide celebrity from outside the world of WFO that has made their way on the trophy. I would imagine soon there will be others. Can you imagine if Gary Corbett were to win? And, we would have to write, his name is Spider Monkey Racing, but we would not put that on the trophy.
No, we would put Grammy Award-winning Spider Monkey Racing.
Exactly. There would be like a little gold record next to it. There would be like a little gold record stuck on there. But yes, that's
right. It would have the picture of the Grammy.
Exactly. Exactly. But congratulations to Chad and Mr. Fantasy NASCAR. IndyCar, the new Aero screen has been photographed on one of Chip Ganassi's cars. It's okay. It's not bad. It's neat. I appreciate it. I know they're trying to do their own thing as opposed to the canopy that we see in the NHRA. They have their reasons, etc. But I don't know. The front of it looks cool. The back of it, not great, but it's something. I don't know if you saw that. They've got kind of a writing on the top, which makes it look cool. Like safety in IndyCar, that's going to be kind of cool. I don't know if you saw that photo.
I'm all for safety. I have not seen the IndyCar latest and greatest.
Yeah, it's okay. It's it's okay. It could be better. It will get better with time, as we saw with Formula One and the flip flop thing that they use. It's evolved over the season. And was it just this year? Was this the first year with the Formula One halo? Or is this the second season?
No,
I feel like it's the second season.
I feel like if it's been around already.
But my point is how we have integrated, right? It was once upon a time, it was this thing that was very disturbing and disruptive, and then it became normal. And we've just accepted it, and we don't even notice it anymore.
Yeah. I guess, like everything. Didn't Tony Stewart throw a fit when they made him wear the Hans device?
Yes.
And he even wore one to the award ceremony or something in mockery mocking himself.
And now nobody would think
a driver that would get into a car without one. They wouldn't. They would be like, "Are you kidding me? You want me to get in there without one of those?"
Well, exactly. And so I think that now some other things that are going on. Carlos Hawkins stuff has been telling me, have you seen Ford versus Ferrari? Have you seen Ford versus Ferrari? I have not yet. I want to go see.
Is that out like at the movies?
Yes.
Or is that like on one of the streaming services?
No, it's in the movie theaters. And it is a very good movie, and everybody is talking about how great it is and how it's an amazing racing film, and it actually made some money.
Oh, I'm sure it sounds great. No, it's got real actors and stuff, so.
Yeah, man. Big. Someone's going to get a nomination.
Yeah. Isn't it Matt Damon?
Yes, and the other guy, Christian Bale.
Oh, Batman, yeah.
Okay, so here, number one at the box office for the week of December 9th, or for now, number one is Frozen 2, which, okay, you're not going to beat that one. Number two is Knives Out by Lionsgate, which I don't know that one. And number three is Ford versus Ferrari. And it's been out for 24 days already. So it's hanging tough in third, ahead of Queen and Slim and A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is the Mr. Rogers movie, which I would like to go see. That. You know who I think needs to see the Mr. Rogers movie?
Who's that?
You. I think you could benefit by seeing something positive like the Mr. Rogers movie.
No, I'll wait till it comes out at the house.
Yeah, it's not the same. How come I haven't been to see Midway? Yeah, let's see. 21 Dark Waters is 6. 21 Bridges is 7. 8 is Playing with Fire. 9th is Midway, and 10th is Promar. Joker. Never saw Joker. Never heard anything about Joker. I heard Joker was dark and scary, but I never went to see it. But really, of these movies that are out supposedly right now, the ones that I am most interested in are Ford versus Ferrari, but maybe even more so, Midway.
Dude, I can tell you right now that the only movies that are going to be in my future possibly is this next rendition of Jumanji that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, because I already heard the Rugrat discussing it. And I'm going to see Star Wars when it comes out. Not necessarily that night, but in those first couple of days after it comes out, I will be going to see Star Wars. Other than that, I don't have any, whatever movie the child, would likes to be taken to, or whenever he sees something that he might want to go.
You should take him to see Midway.
Not. Yeah, right, exactly. I'm going to take a 9-year-old to go see Midway.
Yeah, like why not? When I was 9, I was watching Victory at Sea, and I was watching all kinds of stuff about WW2. The first time I watched Midway, I was probably, because, there's an old version of Midway also. The original one with Pat Morita. Yeah. Pat Morita's in it. The original Midway was incredible. In fact, it's on sometimes on Sunday afternoon.
I'll wait a few more years till I start hitting him with the WW2 stuff. He's only in 3rd grade.
I think you're waiting too long, man. You gotta start early.
I'm not going to the full-fledged movie, man. I don't know. Yeah, you want me to take him to go see Private Ryan at the movies, right?
Just the opening few minutes.
Right.
Just the first 15 minutes.
I mean, it's just history.
Yeah. Tell him to stay. Exactly. Right. Now there's the spirit, Gio. That's exactly right. The opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. That's exactly what you should take him to see. And
after that, we're gonna watch Scarface, and I'm gonna show him especially the scene in the bathroom.
No, but that's no. There's no historical significance to Scarface. That's where you lose me. Right? There's nothing significant or necessary about Scarface. That's just gore for gore's sake. Whereas you show, Platoon. Or, Apocalypse Now is not necessary to see, but Saving Private Ryan, man, wow. Yeah, get a load of this.
No, right now. Why don't they just screen it? You know what? I should talk to his teacher. Maybe we can get her to screen it for the whole classroom.
I would. People know.
Yeah.
We got it. Right. The other day was September. It was December 7th. 1941, a date that will live in infamy.
The other day, on Saturday.
What? The other day.
It was on Saturday.
Yes.
Just the other day.
It was on Saturday. And,
it was like the other day. It was literally 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Never forget, man. Never forget. Something that happens. Everybody, never forget. All kinds of different stuff. Never forget. Well, Pearl Harbor Day. My gosh. That's one. It got 1 share. Who shared it? Who was the person that shared Pearl Harbor Day? Let's see the person. Oh, it doesn't tell me. What do you mean you won't tell me who shared it? What is this, Facebook? Nonsense. Some posts may not appear because they're private. So someone who is private shared it. Flea Tree, he posted the flag, and everyone else, never forget. Absolutely. That was a horrible day. And now Midway is a movie, and Ford vs. Ferrari is in the theaters. And Giovanni, he's going to see Jumanji. Whatever.
Well, my kid wants to go watch Jumanji, so...
You know what else came out today is the
Look,
trailer.
I don't expect you to understand that you get to go watch whatever the kids want to go watch.
Listen, I go to the movies with your kid more than you go to the movies with your kid, so don't tell me that. Yeah, exactly. The trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie came out today.
I saw that at work today. Now that looks pretty cool.
It doesn't look funny. Now they say it is funny, but they say it's scary funny. And Paul Rudd is in it. And the trailer is out there, and I highly recommend everybody look at it because it's not the girl version of Ghostbusters. Whoever did this was trying to avenge the girl version of Ghostbusters, and it looks like they are. How crazy is that? Some kids out in the wilderness, they find Ecto-1, ghosts are released.
It's not exactly like that. The kid is related to, it looks like he's Beckman's
Spangler.
grandchild or something. Huh?
I think he's Spangler. Egon.
Yes, Egon. Sorry, Egon's grandchild.
Venkman's in the movie. See, Egon is dead.
Yes.
Okay, Harold Ramis is dead. And he, of course...
Oh, no, that's right. No, I know. But
don't get all upset just because you don't know that...
3-minute trailer.
It was good. It was good. And Venkman is in the movie, and Dan Aykroyd is in the movie. Spence. Ernie Hudson. Is Ernie Hudson dead? I don't know.
No, he's not dead. I believe he's in it.
The only one that's not in the movie is Egon because he's dead, which is Harold Ramis.
He's dead. He died?
He died. And Harold Ramis, of course, most well-known for... This is where you say, I set it up, and then you say what it is.
Oh, I don't know. Harold Ramis did so many things. I don't know what it is. What are you thinking?
You don't really know. Come on, man. Harold Ramis. Come on. No, Harold Ramis, in my opinion, I think it changes depending on who you are. Harold Ramis did Caddyshack. And also Stripes. And many great things, including Ghostbusters. He
did like a million things.
Yeah, but he was the guy on Caddyshack, which I think is what people really love him the most for. But he died. And that's just a perfect example of how getting old is cruel. Cruel and unusual. And, of course, Stripes, which was incredible. All right. What about as far as the racing world goes? I think we're pretty much, my soundboard isn't working. There were a lot of people that really enjoyed the soundboard last week, and it's not worky today. That's interesting.
How can it not be working?
I don't know. I'm on the net. I'm pressing buttons. They're not playing. But boy, are they funny. If you could hear them, but you can't. I hear you. You're coming out of that computer. But I digress. We'll just move away from that. So let's move on to the Sports Collision. I think we have covered most of the things of interest that are not NHRA related on the Ignition show. We are going to talk NHRA on NHRA Nitro. We've got Megan Meyer. We got Andrew Hines. We got Alan Reinhart. NHRA's got their most memorable moments of the 2019 season. I'm going to give a breakdown of all of those. That's going to be on NHRA Nitro. You're definitely going to love it. We got all kinds of new podcasts dropping. That's great. Let's move on to Sports Collision. The Miami Dolphins narrowly avoided victory against the New York Jets this weekend to continue their hopes of getting the number 1 pick. Whew. That was close.
It was. They kept trying to kick the game-winning field goal.
Yes. They stole defeat from the jaws of victory and were able to remain at a 3-win team as opposed to becoming a 4-win team.
They got a replay overturn of a 4th down call to give the Jets life.
Yes.
Isn't that what happened?
Yes. I think it was the best possible outcome.
It definitely went down to the wire, but I got to tell you, 7 scores in one game and only 21 points.
Well, they're not a good team. Newsflash, they're a bad team. But not only that, though, it was the best possible outcome because I think they feel slighted a little bit, which I don't know why. It was definitely pass interference, but they feel slighted, and so that's the kind of thing that builds a fire within, right? Feeling slighted.
None of the guys that are on this team are going to be around next year and coming years.
The coach, the coaching staff.
Well, yeah, those guys.
Couple of players, the cream of the crop.
2.
The cream of this crop,
Maybe
whoever
2.
they are.
Yeah, I think that the hope of any players that were on the team got traded for picks. I really, dude, I expect major overturn of it. Like, this roster will be completely turned over the next 2 years.
Well, that would be great. I'm all for it.
Yeah, well, with all the picks they have, and then they'll get rid of it. Yeah, it's the same way that this happened like this. Yeah, I definitely think that for the Dolphins, for their plan, their best thing is to continue to try and get the best pick possible.
That's it. They got to get the best pick possible.
But that doesn't always work. I mean, who would you say are the best quarterbacks in the league right now?
Let's see.
Lamar
Jackson and Jimmy G. Oh, we lost him. Why did he hang up like that? Just like that, he's gone. Like Kaiser Soze, he's gone away. Now is when we talk bad about Gio. Can you believe this guy? He doesn't want to show his kid Saving Private Ryan the first 10 minutes. Come on, the kid is 9 years old. He's practically a man. It's time to start learning about America's history. You don't have to hang up just because you're angry.
No, I don't know how far I got. The line crapped out.
Oh.
I was talking to myself before I realized.
No, I told you that the best quarterbacks in the league were Lamar Jackson and Jimmy G. And Pat Mahomes.
Okay, out of all those guys, the highest draft pick there was Pat Mahomes, was like the 10th or 11th pick in the draft.
Well,
Jimmy G, the second rounder. Lamar Jackson was the 32nd overall pick, the last pick of the first round.
So that's just making me upset. Okay, you're just making me upset now because that just shows how bad a whiff we are. My logic on this thing. If
Not
you're
just
talking about the
Dolphins,
Miami Dolphins,
teams,
everybody whiffs. Tom Brady, 5th round pick. Everybody whiffed a bunch of times, but we don't have the margin for error, bro. Like, it makes it a little bit easier when you get to pick like top 5. All right,
You say that, but look, the last couple of number 1 pick overall, Jeff Goff. Would you argue that he's so great? He was just a few years ago the number 1 pick. Last year the number 1 pick was the Cleveland quarterback, the Baker. Right now,
Enzo the Baker.
Is that what you want?
Enzo the Baker.
Right. Look, this kid in Chicago, Mitch Trubisky, number 2 overall. Is that what you want? Would you rather that, or would you rather have been picking a little further and have the better quarterback drop to you?
Well, you don't get to choose that. It's fate and luck.
No, you don't. Is it? But is it really? Because these teams traded up to get those guys.
Right, but if the Patriots had taken Tom Brady with their first-round pick, people would have thought they were crazy. If Tom Brady was taken number 1 overall, at the time they would have been lambasted, and then ultimately it would have been the ultimate genius move. So I get what you're saying. There's a randomness to the universe, but I will still prefer the best pick possible.
All right.
A random nature.
I understand where you're coming from, too, but I'm just want to show you that that's not, that's not really the historical way that works in the NFL. You have to be a good franchise. It's like there's a reason why Cleveland, it always ends up being Cleveland. No offense to those of you that root for the Brownies.
Right. No, that makes
they
perfect
got a
sense.
collection of talent there now, but it's still not working out, right?
How about that?
Now, that's partly because I think that their coach is not all that great, but let's not get into that. By the way, SportsCollision, we do Dolphins. Yeah, some of the stuff. Apparently, the Patriots might have been caught cheating again in some sort of way. There's a cheese little scandal going on there where some production crew that was following one of their scouts got in trouble filming something at Cincinnati versus Cleveland this weekend.
Well, the New York Post 5 hours ago said the Patriots actually might not be cheating this time. NewJersey.com says, Spygate Part 2, CBS Sports. Here's why Patriots film crew had a film crew at the Bengals Browns. Let's see it. For a minute, it looked like the floodgates were going to open once again. The New England Patriots, another potential scandal. Luckily for Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, the rest of the football viewing world, we've been spared of digging through the minutia. Again, it's a false alarm. You can put down your pitchforks. No, keep your pitchforks in hand, folks, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Things started to spark up on Monday after, in regards to a potential second act after Spygate, when Bengals head coach Zach Taylor was asked about the Patriots allegedly videotaping the Bengals play calls during their Week 14 matchup. Taylor had no comment, etc. In the end, however, it seemed to be a big misunderstanding. So there you go.
Well, there's an investigation going on, and the bottom line is that when you're the Patriots, you can't have anything like this happening at all because you have a history. They were doing a Do Your Job documentary feature on one of the advanced scouts. The video crew was credentialed by the Browns to shoot in the press box. Bengals officials saw a member of the video crew wearing a Patriots shirt and alerted the league, which confiscated the video. Get him. Look, if they were doing something, they need to be taken burned at the stakes.
Burned at the stake.
They need to pay.
Oh my gosh! Right now in our world,
they need to pay the price.
Somebody if people want to burn someone at the stake, probably a bunch of people. Like if we had a mass like that movie, that crazy movie, what's it called? The Purge.
The Purge.
If we had a purge where you could burn somebody at the stake and that's all you could do, a lot of people would get burned at the stake right now. Everybody's upset in our meme civil war that's happening, but that's a different story. Speaking of people that need to be burned at the stake, we have yet to discuss on this show, just because I think maybe it has required a little time for healing, but it keeps coming back. The other day, CC Sabathia said that he wakes up in the middle of the night in anger about what happened with the Houston Astros in 2017, that it was revealed that they were using some sort of video recording devices and a system in which they signaled, after watching the video, they signaled their batters what pitch was coming. And which is definite and hardcore cheating, highly illegal in the world of baseball. And they did that in the year they won the World Series. We have not discussed this on the show. What say you about this?
I got to tell you the story. Yeah, I've kind of, when it comes to baseball world, I kind of got a little bit, bothered by it. Like, they did what they did. And essentially they took the cheating to the next level, while in baseball, they're always been trying to cheat and steal signs. You're not allowed to use technology to do this. And these guys apparently may or may not have been. It looks like they pretty much were, but we'll find out what happens. This, of course, is also under investigation. And hopefully the league will come down and slap them very hard. But, I don't know. I guess at this point, like, what is there to be mad about? What are you going to do?
Well, you can't do anything, but you're still victimized,
and
though.
Find them, but
take the championship away,
somewhat.
Like all those people who wanted Steve Torrance's championship taken away. Take the championship away. Anoint. Who did they beat in the World Series that year? The Dodgers.
And again, I believe so. But again, it's one thing for you to know it's coming. You still got to hit it.
Yeah, but no, you can't say that. That's San Diego.
I think
this one is from
because whatever. While it is, yes, I'm sure there's some sort of advantage to know what's coming. It's not, that doesn't guarantee you're going to hit it. Otherwise, they would have just never lost.
Well, they won the World Series, so they didn't They didn't lose. It's terrible. This is brand new news from the, the New York Daily News. Former Yankees manager Joe Girardi isn't surprised by Astros cheating allegations. Girardi's last gasp as the Yankees manager was stopped one game short of the World Series by an Astros team that is now accused of cheating. The new Phillies manager said Monday that he wasn't surprised that the allegations against Houston came out, and he continues to urge MLB to address it head on. Girardi has long been a proponent of using headsets to communicate directly with the pitcher to eliminate the potential for a cheating scandal like MLB is now trying to contain. The league says the investigation into the Astros, who are accused of using a camera to steal signs and then signal hitters audibly by banging a garbage can in 2017, is ongoing. Monday, Red Sox manager Alex Cora, who was the bench coach for the 2017 World Series champion Astros, said he was interviewed by MLB but declined to answer any further questions on the issue. Another one. Astros manager A.J. Hinch.
Why would he talk about it to the newspaper, like...
Yeah, well, they asked me if we were cheating, and I told them yes. Just confess, man.
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. Astros manager A.J. Hinch is not scheduled to speak with the media until late evening, Tuesday evening, tomorrow. New York Mets manager Carlos Beltran, who was also a member of the 2017 Astros team, is also scheduled to speak Tuesday at 7:40. But do not expect much to come out of that. MLB has put the gag order on those being investigated, so the scandal is the elephant in the room at the annual MLB winter meetings, which are ongoing. The league is investigating.
Yeah, that's not – look, nobody cares about that right now. You know what's going on at the winter meetings? Garrett Cole's about to get paid, and hopefully it's by the New York Yankees.
Yes, I hope so. But no, people care. This is breaking news, man. This story just released an hour ago.
News. That story is months old. Dude.
I'm reading.
What's the breaking news? That these guys are gonna be at the winter meetings? Well, yeah, they're managers for clubs. There's an investigation going on. I told you about.
There's an ongoing investigation. Girardi is commenting. I'm reading you brand new breaking news. This is hot off the presses, man.
All right, man.
Posted 2 hours ago.
The story's like months old already.
Yeah, but it's been simmering.
I'm not interested in that at all. All I care about is free agency frenzy.
Yeah, but see, that's the mistake that you make. The mistake that you make is because you're letting it go. You cannot let cheaters be cheaters. You have to stop them.
They're going to do is, all right, look, there comes an investigation. You find them, you take away draft picks, you take away international money, and that's it. What else are you going to do?
Well, that's what you do. It's like your credit card was robbed a month ago, and they did an investigation, and now they know who the guy is, and you're like, that $1,000 has been out of my bank account for a month. I'm already accepting the fact that it's gone.
No. You see,
you cannot let this go.
Premise. Somebody steals $1,000 from my bank. The bank is responsible for allowing them to steal the money, and the bank will replace my money. And I'm not going after whoever stole the money. If there's an investigation, the police or whatever law enforcement does that, which, by the way, they don't really do that. They don't go after those people, generally. And so I'm not interested in who stole the money. When somebody steals your credit card or uses your stuff, you're not going to go find out who it is. You just want to get your issue resolved and your money back in your bank account. You're not finding out, anything about these people.
Well, that's not a good analogy. That's not a good analogy because we got to play these guys again. These guys are on a regular basis. We're running into these guys.
Look, man, the analogy is not anything. Look, they got caught cheating. That's it. You stop. You don't do it anymore. That's it. You're not allowed to do this anymore. And you rain down on them so that they don't do it again. You make it not worth their while. But like for you to sit here and be all excited about it.
I'm not. Listen, I'm just telling you. There's a flurry of stories that are all coming out about Girardi making comments at the meetings.
Dude, the flurry of stories today is about Strasburg getting 7 years, $245 million record deal in terms of average value and record deal in terms of total value for a pitcher. That's the big news out of baseball. It's not this Astro scandal from like months ago.
Yeah, I think that you're missing the point.
No, I think you're missing the point. Go click on ESPN.com and tell me what's the headline in baseball. Is it that Joe Girardi is going to meet with somebody about the investigation tomorrow, or is it that Strasburg got a record deal?
Well, the record deal story is an easy statement of fact story. Yes, of course. It's like this happened. But there's not a lot of drama to it. And it's also 8 hours old. Talking about old news, that's 8 hours ago, man. I'm talking a story that happened 2 hours ago.
Dude, the cheating scandal has been months ago. Like, all right, whatever. If that interests you, that's fine. Your show, you can talk about whatever you want.
That's exactly the truth.
You like the cheating, the cheating scandal was, go on anything about baseball. They're talking about what is Garrett Cole going to get. How many years, and it's going to be the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Angels.
But see, here's the thing, though, Gio. You don't have to only talk about one story or the other. Maybe that's the next thing I'm about to bring up. Have you considered that?
No, I have not.
Well, why not? That's obviously the next thing I'm going to.
In your cheating scandal
That's it. That's the one baseball story we're going to talk about here on the show this week is that one, and no other baseball stories will be able to be talked about because, of course, the quota that comes in. We are only allowed one baseball-related story per SportsCollision, so sorry. You don't think I want to talk about Garrett Cole? Of course I do. But this is one that we have not yet addressed in the SportsCollision, and it's percolating again. There's commenting about it. A flurry of stories all out today in various newspapers, including the Tampa Bay Times. Tampa Bay is like, we hope that they didn't do it. And I think it is about to percolate back up to the top again. You will soon see that I am on the cutting edge. But now we can talk about Garrett Cole, which wouldn't that be the karmic right thing for Garrett Cole to leave the cheating organization to go to somewhere else, hopefully, as you said, the New York Yankees?
Okay, these two facts are completely independent of each other.
That is a fact. That is also true.
All right.
Two things that are totally unrelated.
Out of the kindness of his heart or because of the cheating scandal, he's leaving because he is a mercenary and a free agent.
Well, that's why I said it would be, wouldn't that be the perfect karmic result? Like karma.
And if you recall, after they lost the World Series, he was sitting there no longer in an Astros hat. He was wearing a Scott Boras hat.
Right. Well, and Scott Boras being his guy, he's definitely going to get paid. From what I understand, the early concept that he was leaning towards the West Coast was not, in fact, a thing, and that he said that he does not have a biased one or the other. We shall see. The Yankees went in. They went out there. They were in a hotel somewhere out there in L.A. area, and they put it all on the table. They backed up the truck, exactly like you were saying. And they offered him, what, a record offer.
We don't know what they offered him. We don't know.
It was reported it was like $275 million for...
Well, the original rumor was that he was going to get the $245, and that's what Strasburg got. So clearly the market just went skyrocketing. So I don't know. There's talking that now that he's going to get 300, maybe more.
That's crazy.
Yes, it is. But as I was having this discussion with someone today, that while it is crazy, ridiculous, and the term he used was reckless to pay somebody that much money, I told him, no, it's not reckless because we don't know what the revenue figures are. Yes, it's reckless if a guy that makes $50,000 a year buys a $100,000 car, or a couple $100,000 car, but it's not reckless if a guy that makes $10 million a year buys a $1 million car.
Right, and Garrett Cole could be the difference. The Yankees could win 2 or 3 World Series with an ace like that, and what's the value of that?
At this point right now, this guy is the best pitcher in the world in his prime. 29 years old, in his pure prime, just starting to find himself over the last couple of years. And so it would be, look, if the Yankees are serious about winning, then paying him whatever it costs is really not an issue because they generate the most revenue. If they're worried about profit margin and bottom line, then no. What they're doing now is just as good because, basically, if they bring this guy in they have to win World Series in order to make the money work.
Well, they're on the brink.
Maybe
man.
they're content. Maybe they're content with pretending to go out there and make an offer and say, hey, we offered X amount, but he took the largest offer on the table and it just wasn't ours. And so I don't know. I'm not completely convinced that these guys are just gonna give Garrett Cole $300 million. I'm pretty sure their dad would have. And again, as in conversation, I think that for the Marlins to give a guy $35-40 million a year, especially a pitcher, is reckless. But I don't know that for a team like the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Yankees or these even the Cubs, teams with these super high cities that have super high revenues. It's not reckless for those teams.
Well,
a guy like this, as you've seen, is definitely the difference between getting to a World Series and winning. They didn't win this year, but Houston has been in the World Series 2 out of the last 3 years now.
Yes. No, absolutely. One of those years, of course, because of cheating. But that's a different story. I'm just really having fun with the Astros fans out there. Like, there's a taint now. That's all. There's a taint. Nobody likes a taint.
No.
Now there is definitely a taint.
They're the Patriots of Major League Baseball. They're cheaters, but, they won.
Right. Win at all costs, that's fine. But we now know. And the same negative story that came down on the Patriots should also come down on the Astros. They should be traded with the same vitriol, I think. But I digress. All right.
I just think that the Astros haven't won long enough for everybody to hate them like they do the Patriots.
Right. Well, that's true.
No, I guess that's it. That they're playing basketball now, but I really, like I said, I really don't start watching basketball until those games on Christmas Day.
Right, catch a game here or there. I hear the Heat started the season pretty well, but yeah, we'll catch up with that. Obviously,
I have been keeping up with the Heat because they have been playing very well, and there's a team that found a way to rebuild without having to tank.
No, they did not have to tank because of the genius of Pat
That's
Riley.
One thing that I do give the Heat credit for is every year they're trying to, they're putting a competitive team out there, and even though they might not have a chance to win the championship, they're definitely not in tank mode ever. I mean, even now in these last couple of years, they've been a 500 team, which yes, it's not great, you're not going to win, but they're competitive. They're not going to get blown out, in 60 games.
No, I dig. But like I said, I agree. I'll pay attention in the at Christmas and beyond. Hey, who had the over on the Saints 49ers game?
Yeah, everybody, hopefully.
Did you have the over? My goodness. That was incredible.
That was a great game.
If you like,
as to be expected.
If you like scoring.
And who doesn't?
Yeah, I love it. No, it was good. It was exciting. There you go. All right, final thing. The Mandalorian. I'm now 3 episodes in. I have enjoyed it. It is good. The Baby Yoda is interesting since it all comes back to Star Wars.
The child.
Whatever. It's Baby Yoda, man. Everybody's talking about it. Baby Yoda is in all kinds of memes. You've probably seen it out there, even if you don't watch Star Wars. It's like it's a baby of whatever race or whatever you would call it that Yoda is, and it's very interesting. It's a cute thing, and but I have identified that Baby Yoda is basically the exact same puppet thing as Gizmo from Gremlins. It's just green.
Yeah, I think he's striped actually.
It's just green. Yeah. It's green. It's green with pointy ears. But
you're not the first person to actually point that out. So.
Is that true? Really? There's other people who have said that?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stories, like people that have put the pictures side by side.
Wow.
And so forth.
Because I hadn't seen that anywhere. That I just totally came up with that on my own.
He's actually a puppeteer, a puppet, so it's not. He's not CGI.
Right.
Yeah. So he's like the original Yoda, like a puppet. So.
Oh, I get it. Speaking of which, there it is. There's a bunch of Gizmo and Baby Yoda. Look at that. Are you on Team Gizmo or Team Baby Yoda? And it's the same thing, man. Come on. Well, I'm glad to know that I picked up on that. Once again, intuitive. And,
yes, you're so aware.
Well, if you've seen it, like the one that the head to toe, it's the same thing, man. It's the same thing. Little cute face, big eyes. With ears, except one is fuzzy green and the other is fuzzy.
Yeah, like brownish tannish color.
Brownish tannish. Wow, you search Gizmo Yoda, and there you have it. Well, cool.
But yes, no, The Mandalorian, great. I have finished watching all released episodes, and I am highly invested.
Oh, awesome!
I enjoy it very well,
That's
very
good.
much so.
Someone was.
I think there's going to be 8 or 9 total so far for this first release.
Someone on the Facebook was saying that one of my friends was saying that the episodes are too short, and I disagree. I think the episodes are perfect length. It doesn't need to be an hour of Mandalorian. I like the idea that they're kind of quick, 35 minutes.
Yeah, I don't. I think they're. I don't have an issue with the length either. I think if they were an hour, maybe they at that point they might get too long.
Exactly. Well, all right, that's all I've got. Any final thoughts as we get on out of here? The show that will have forever be known as the night that Gio broke down on the way to the show. It's funny how things like this tend to timestamp programs. We'll always remember this one. It is unfortunate. Hopefully you get your stuff all fixed up and patched up and ready to go. But we've covered the important stuff. I'm getting ready to go to PRI, and so I'm going to be packing bags, pre-flight, the whole thing, Rocket Man. And I'll be back the following week. Next week you guys will be out there doing the poker show all by yourselves. And that's all I got. Any final notes that you want to throw into this program? We heard from Chad Robb, Mr. Fantasy NASCAR. We heard from everybody. Got anything?
No, not really, man. I'll let you take her out.
And there it is. Giovanni in Miami, weighing in big time. And that's all I've got as well. So all you WFO people out there, thank you so much for listening. We did Sports Collision. We talked to, this was just total stream of consciousness. And great stuff as usual. Next week, Giovanni will be back in studio, and I'll be somewhere out there. And we'll figure it all out. In the meantime, check out the archive. Check out that Total Seal podcast. Write us a review. Click subscribe. Share it as much as you can. And that is that. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
Bye, bye, bye.